Okay, I think the red light is to be believed. I believe we are live now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Low Key on the Wall Network. I am your host, Harry, aka the Moving Target. As we start this really cool episode of the gas stoves and the game journalists who hate them. Um, I've been wanting to bring up this meme for a while, just to joke about it for a while, and Vincent, didn't want to because he'd been hiding his gas stove in his house. He didn't want anyone to know he has one. But we all know it. I let the secret out. Okay. All right. You didn't lose yours in a fishing accident. Okay. All right. We all know you still have it. Okay. All right. But besides myself, because you guys all know that I never fly solo on any of these episodes, and as we're going to do things, I always bring a cast and crew of people with me. Uh, since I already said Vincent's name, let's break with tradition and start with Vincent for Vincent and say hi.
Hey, we're here to talk about this ice cold leftovers meme that we're reheating because it's not even the thing that they're mad about now. You already missed where Xbox went woke because they put energy saving modes in there, Harry. That's
Oh
what
yeah.
everybody was complaining about. No one cared about the stoves. They were just cared about. They just cared about the woke Xboxes.
Yeah, we can get back into we can talk about the Xbox things too. That was, I am more shocked that people are like, I can't believe they did that, and I'm like, I can't believe you think they can't do that. Anyway, also joining us with us is Rhinehold. Rhinehold, go ahead and say hi.
Hello, everyone. I've got, like I said, as I said earlier, I've got a 5-minute sum up of the whole gas stove thing that
God damn it!
just will get us through it and power through it to something a little more interesting.
Wow, wow, wow! I think Rhinehold's also probably hiding a gas stove in his house.
Not hiding it, I'm proudly displaying it.
Oh wow, wow!
And then
Open carry of the salt gas stove out here. Okay, all right,
So
fine.
just let me know when you want that. I'll get it to you. The summary.
All right, fine.
Just ruining
What?
his fun instantly.
I know, ruined my fun. Good evening, Christy. I'm with these two crab apples. Okay, all right.
I just calls it
I'm
like
not
it's
crab apple
season.
about it. I just think it's a perfect example of what's broken in the United States today. So
And then the fact that this isn't the most current thing they're complaining about because there was the Xbox going woke and then the M&M's thing and then, so we're just
it's
like
been like
we're
this
like
for
four
years. Yeah.
controversies behind.
So what
There aren't even
happens?
controversies. It's just complaining about stupid
It's all
shit for no
invented. It's
reason.
invented outrage.
We'll get to
So
that
you've
later.
got a group that says, "Hey, there's this thing with these gas stoves. We're looking at what we need to do about it.
Mhm.
One of the things we're investigating is the possibility of maybe saying we should, stop all new gas stoves from being built and sold. That's it. That's all they said. They said we're looking into it. We'll see what we find out."
And that like our
Immediately,
research
the
says
right
that
goes. The right goes, oh, this is the most horrible thing. They're banning gas stoves. They're going to put people in jail for having gas stoves, which caused the left to go, hey, wait a minute, because they didn't know the story either. They just saw the people on the right complaining about it. So then they said, no, here's why we should get rid of gas stoves. And they're going into all these reasons why we should. And then they were back and forth. And it wasn't even the point of the whole thing to begin with. Right? It was just something that somebody got outraged about,
Mhm.
which caused the other side to get more outraged, which caused them just to fight back and forth, talk over the top of each other, and no one even paid it. You try to tell somebody that, oh yeah, this governmental agency who's doing this was just doing a possible examination of what the impact might be if they did do it, and it turned into they're coming for your guns, they're going to put you in jail. To we have to get rid of them in order to save the planet. That's how it works.
yeah, you have to be the opposite of what the other thing was. It's like, oh, we did this research that showed that gas stoves might potentially have caused more asthma in kids who grew up around it, and then they're like, well, everybody's getting rid of all the gas stoves now. Then it just spirals out of control of like, oh man, Xbox is just so woke because they put a power saving mode in their Xbox, and
Was
even though that nobody will actually care about the extra 30 seconds it takes for your game to load up because most of the systems already have power saving modes, and now it's just a default setting you have to go in and change, which you can easily do. It's like, who cares? Why are you guys making
what was
a
this, like
big
6
deal
months
out of
ago?
this?
6 months ago, people started complaining that millennials wanted to get rid of voice phone calls. We're going to get rid of them. They're going to ban them. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go look. Somebody had written in an article that they posted on Reddit somewhere where they were saying, hey, it's millennials don't really like voice calling. They'd rather text. So, because the voice calling kind of makes them feel uncomfortable. That turned into they're wanting to ban all voice calling, phone calls. It's just like people are on the lookout to find the next wedge issue in order to try to raise their poll numbers by 0.03% over and bring the other side down 0.03. That's all it is.
It's outrage culture. It's gotten to this point where most things, when they're talked about, it's really hard to have a normal, like, I bring something to the table, you bring something to the table, and then we have a clear conversation about what it is. When instead it's, I'm gonna yell at you because they made the M&Ms not sexy anymore, and they're gonna get rid of all the M&Ms because people were complaining that they weren't sexy anymore. It's like, who
Tucker
cares?
Carlson has a fetish with the M&Ms, right? So that's what it was all about.
But everybody latched on to that, and it's like, oh my god, what are they doing? And it's like,
nobody. It's the lack of any attempt to have a good faith, rational debate about topics. Honest, good faith, and rational. Those three things, and nuanced, might be another good term. None of that's even possible these days.
No, because you're
not that it's been in the past, but
right?
It's worse now.
It's the same stuff that's always been happening. When GTA's hot coffee mod that was hidden deep within side of San Andreas' game code, and somebody found it, they were like, "Oh, you had to ban all video games because they're terrible for children because it shows sex, even though there's no actual sex in this terrible mod. Is mostly just implied." But they had to ban video games, get rid of them. Same stuff with when they had to make the ESRB because of Night Trap, because girls might actually, because it's a live action acting of a girl getting kidnapped, and we need to make the ESRB because kids can't see this.
Well, it's where, I grew up when we were having debates in Congress about putting warning labels on albums because the Satanists were doing D&D and causing people to go crazy and believe that there were really witches and stuff out there. So, this is not something new, as it were. The Red Scare, of course, is another great example of that. McCarthy era.
That and Satanic Panic. And
people
how
are
all that
complaining about cancel culture, and I'm like, dude, we're not putting people in jail like we used to. We're not lynching them like we used to. We're not sending death squads to kill them because they said something we don't like. People are getting mad at other people in response, and they're having a conversation about it. It's like so much better than the way it used to be.
But now it's more of just outrage culture. It's I need to show everybody that I'm angry at something. Like, you can't have
Ladies did a great. Bare Naked Ladies came out with a song about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember what. And it's basically a song about outrage culture, and it's really funny and really good. I like it a lot. So it's the new what was it called? The new something or other. Irritates me.
New Disaster.
Yeah, New Disaster.
You talked about it when we talked about Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah. When I talked about Bare Naked Ladies, I talked about it. Yeah, it's a New Disaster. The video's actually drawn really well. Somebody had they had a behind the scenes on the guy actually drawing it and the steps he did and everything for it. So it was really good. But the song is powerful. There's in the video, there's a picture of somebody swallowing a half blue, half red pill. And I just thought that was a perfect metaphor. And they call it anti-social media is what they call it.
Yeah. So. But everything's a performance. And that's what the big issue has always been for a lot of it. Once everybody's online and you have a constant way of saying that, oh, these people can hear what I have to say. Everything you do is a performance. Every word I post on Twitter is a performance for the people that are following me on Twitter.
Is that what I'm doing wrong? I'm not performing.
But that's how everyone is. Everyone's performing.
Yes.
Most people don't have. You could have a strong opinion on something, and you just ratchet it up to 11 because that's what people want to see. You can go, well, I think episode 7 of Star Wars was okay, but that's not enough to get people to pay attention. You have to either go, it's the worst, or it's the best, and that's how everything is.
Yeah, and everybody has been doing like their hot take on the show that will not be mentioned, and I've just been just
like I was getting ready to say something about it.
Yeah, my entire YouTube feed is like barely has anything. I've been watching like old videos and stuff like that because every time like one of like the people I want to listen to content to, they want to talk about that show that I don't want to talk about, don't want to even watch, don't want to absorb anything about it, and they just want to talk about it, like, and they keep hate watching the damn thing.
Yeah, I was watching Jim Mathers the other day, and he even got into it a little bit. They were talking about canceling it.
Yeah, they're like,
I don't know if you know who Jim Mathers is.
It's just like 10 to hundreds of people going, I watch this show, so you don't have to. And I'm like, don't. You obviously it's not meant for you. You didn't care for it. Just move on. Go do something else.
Well, like I was listening to something about Battlefield Earth being this horrible movie, and it's like you go to Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 3%. It's getting what it deserves, right? People are responding, and their opinion will come out. You don't have to scream it in people's faces. I mean, it's just silliness no more. So
yeah, it is.
But I mean that also plays into the other thing we want to talk about, like journalists and stuff. But people want to know the opinions of what other people is. It's the same reason why you watch React content is because you want to see how other people react to the things you want to watch. If somebody saw that
I don't
show
get into people getting outraged about things. Like I like watching people have honest reactions to something they see. If they don't like it, they don't like it. That's fine. But if they were sitting there watching it and going, "This is the most horrible woke thing I've ever seen," blah blah blah, I'm just turning them off. I'll never watch them again. I've had people. I go to YouTube and sometimes I'll get a video presented to me, like here's a video you might like type thing, and if it's something that is completely talking about wokeness or whatever, and I'm just like, I don't have nothing to do with that. I don't want to hear about it. Don't recommend this channel to me again. This is the option I use.
Yeah, exactly. And I totally understand that. What I meant more of is not that they're going the super extreme route of it. It's more of like if I want to know what Harry thinks of something, I want to go to his channel and see what he says about it. A lot of people are the same way.
That's the thing about this whole thing is like when I get into talking about cancel culture with people, and I get into talking about just social media. I mean, people are like the eagles of social media. Social media is gonna destroy the society and everything. And it's like all that social media is and all that cancel culture, if you want to call it that, and give it a name or a label, it's stuff that's been around for centuries, thousands of years. But if you want to say that those things are bad, it's not that they are bad, it's that sometimes people misuse them. They're useful tools that can be used for good or used for bad. It's just like a gun can be used to good to defend yourself. It can be used for bad to hurt somebody. Cars, other things, there's all kinds of tools that if they're misused, they're very harmful, right? We don't ban those things, and we take an honest examination and say the tool itself is a valuable thing to have when used right, and it's worth some of the misuse of it, and it'll sort itself out.
Exactly. I think what most people get their issues with quote unquote cancel culture we're going to use the term because it's what people understand. It's easier. But it's more when you get in the hands of people who in this liberal society that we live in, who are illiberal, who aren't liberal, who don't want, who rather for, if you're not with me or the revolution that I'm going for, I just want you destroyed. I'm fine with destroying you, other than, hey, we're having this conversation. We understand what you're doing is X bad thing, and you should probably change or, adapt. This is what the people are speaking to you, and allowing that person to come back, forgiveness arc. And I think that's what a lot of people are having the biggest issue with, the illiberal people wielding that tool.
Right, but let's say you got somebody like Christopher Rufo, who's admitted to coming up with terms specifically to trigger people in this matter. He's propagandist. He admits it freely that's what he is, and people still buy into it. I mean, he's standing there saying, "I am doing this," and it's like, don't you see what he's doing? Oh yeah, but he's right though. And I'm like, it's like, oh man,
that's fair. If it is shadow banned, you can't. It's really hard to find it. But
except if you just go to it. I mean, that's the thing is that if you know what you want, you go to it. That was the whole thing with shadow banning, is that they were never stopping people from going and seeing the content. They just weren't getting it presented to them if they didn't ask for it.
It stops the discovery of it. That's just the issue. But social media is, when used what it's supposed to be used for, is a nice tool. But everybody's terminally online. That's the issue. Yeah. Everybody is terminally online. Everything they do, they want to post it on Twitter to get the fake imaginary points of people saying that what they did is cool. Same with like Instagram and all the other things. It's what it's evolved into, instead of it being, hey, I'm just going to, share this thing that I accomplished or share this funny thing with one another. It is, my whole life is now I must tweet it, or I must post it on Twitter or YouTube or Instagram or live stream it, or it's.
The thing is that if it's not entertaining and if people don't want to hear it or see it, it's not going to have any reach. It's not going to do anything. That's there's a person I saw on TikTok. I liked her what she was doing, what she was about. She was making funny videos. Where she played different characters, and she just keeps getting more and more characters and stuff. I went and found out she had a YouTube channel. Went to go check it out. She's got 6 million views or subscribers. She's huge. I didn't know that. I just happened to stumble across her, right? And now my wife is obsessed with her too. So we just watch her all the time. But that's quality showing its. Huh?
Is it Hamzy? Did you get stuck into Hamzy?
No. It's Call Me Chris.
Oh, you should watch Hamzy.
Yeah, But Call Me Chris has a character called Riley. It's just a little kid, and she thinks it's okay. It's adorable as fuck. But what I'm finding is that the quality rises up. Like if somebody is enjoyable to watch, now there are some people who will manufacture themselves a bump in views or a bunch of media attention for saying outrageous things that everybody gets mad at. But that's going to fade. Nobody's going to maintain that level of outrage long enough for that to last longer than a year or two.
All right, so and that pulls into the Game Journals talk, because there's been a lot of YouTubers and Game Journals where they've almost just fed into each other, puke in each other's mouths, but it's taking a while for them to fade once they've been propped up with other different things like that. Because yes, while shadow banning and stuff like that, the algorithm has helped out some channels, has made growth hard for other channels, so they don't get a chance to get good because they're not promoted and not pushed up, or even allowed.
Get good. We're talking about gaming.
Oh, you get good.
Gaming journalism, you're saying get good.
Yeah, get good. Yeah, you can't get good. Yeah, you can't get good. So you got a lot of game journals, like that can't get good. Like I've got like a very few game journals that I actually will like watch because I respect their opinion. One was Angry Joe. I respect Angry Joe's opinion on video games. Movies, but video games,
which is arguably a lot more, personal. I mean, somebody's opinion on a movie or a book or a TV show is going to be much more subjective than it is a video game. Because a video game, you can say this quality is this, and they did this wrong.
The mechanics don't feel well on this.
Otherwise, you're saying music. I didn't like the way the beat was made. I like the beat, so it's much more subjective.
we just don't align when it comes to like he can enjoy a lot of different movies where he can go and just turn move his brain off to go watch a popcorn eat a movie like that. Unless it's mechs, I can't do it. So
That's not true unless it's mechs or in a fictional video game world.
how dare you? Okay, all right.
You admitted it, and you know it's true.
First off, once we get through SAO alicization, you will understand the beauty which is SAO. Anyways, back to this and the propping up of the crowd, and and we're watching now with all the layoffs, which I don't. It sucks. It sucks for all these game journals being laid off at this time of year where they are in California and in this economy right now. It's gotta effing suck. It's gotta suck. I really hope they've got money saved up. I hope they're fighting work and other different things, but there's so many of them that it's just got the axe. But they also had to see the writing on the wall. I think the thing that really like showed me that like they don't have long is when BuzzFeed went public and their IPO did crap. And it started to tank and it became worthless. And I think it showed everybody, which I've also been saying in the beginning of the year, is like a lot of these Silicon Valley crappy startup companies own nothing. Yet for some reason they get IPO status, they get value to be worth millions when they don't own nothing. They don't produce crap. They have worthless bull crap jobs and they don't have anything. Yeah, and they don't have anything. It's like, what's our code? It's like Twitter.
You remember that Netscape IPO where all the people who worked on that was immediately millionaires and overnight, and then within a year and a half, it was gone because Internet Explorer came out and just took over. It was just like,
I know take the money and run, get that one in your hand and cash and sell it out and get the heck out. That's why like all those clauses, or like if you're Elon Musk, I'll be the last one to sell. Start selling your shares quickly. Because he knows this stuff is overvalued. But at least Tesla actually owns things. They have battery plants and power reducing plants. They have physical assets, to back
technically
up.
Elon doesn't own.
That's true. That's true.
Technically, Elon doesn't own Twitter. Saudi Arabian government does.
Right. We can't. There's too many of us. If we go into that dark hole of bashing Elon, we won't do anything else. So I want to.
No,
just change the name of the channel.
But
I'll take my pants off right now and just start like, all right. Another thing about Elon, but anyways, no, is these game journalists that just don't own nothing. Like, what did BuzzFeed have? What did once the eyes started going, like IGN and all these other ones started leaving? It's like you have bashed your heart, before the show, Vincent was talking about like the hardcore gamer audience. Is like once you've pushed around and pushed out a lot of the hardcore gamers, they're going to go into little holes and everywhere. So they're finding their like I found Angry Joe, and there's hundreds and hundreds of other game journals out there that people have found and latched onto. And now, so if you're not propped up by because right now ad revenue's crap. If we did get anything on this channel, it'd be crap, but we don't. So ad revenue was the toilet. So they were just being put by venture capitalists and stuff like that. So, but everybody's shrinking and bringing in money. So it's kind of like once they have nothing to show for it, the air, you've got to start laying people off and start selling things because bills need to be paid, and all you have is air. And then people are trying to get sold to things that aren't, no one wants to buy. So.
It's such a massive set of issues that all steamroll into one big ball that is tumbling downhill.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of trust in a lot of the big video game publications, because you could easily see when the writers were getting bought out by the games that they were reviewing, when stuff like Madden was getting like 8s and 9s and saying it's the step in the right direction 8 years in a row.
Step in the right direction.
Every year it's basically the same game where literally you could see the same animations 4 games in a row, and literally UI graphics from the previous game in the new game. You just had to look for it and it's there. That's when people starts starts losing trust in it. Then there's the whole controversy that one of the IGN writers plagiarized this guy's YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Just openly plagiarized him and copied him and said, "Oh, I was just inspired by it," when it was basically word for word copy pasting of his reviews
and stole footage.
Yes, stole his gameplay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also had the whole thing where that there was that negative review of Cuphead because the reviewer couldn't figure out how to get past the tutorial because he didn't understand the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
And
professional game journalists couldn't get through the tutorial of Cuphead.
Yeah, so the people that are like really into games, you've lost a lot of their interest in you because you've basically showed that you're biased and you really aren't. They really don't trust what you have to say because most of the things you say they either don't agree with or they can see that you're getting paid to say this.
Correct.
When people go, well, IGN gave it a 6, that means that it's actually a 2, but they can't give it lower than a 6. It's like because they're getting paid to do it. That becomes an issue.
Yep. They get the ad revenue. They get sponsored for booths. Then you also want to be able to get access because they may need you to promote this game because there's another AAA game that's coming out to the same publisher that is going to be really good. But if you dog on this crappy game, you'll lose access.
Right.
You remember newspapers every newspaper used to have a movie reviewer in the newspaper. They don't do that anymore. Right? Because at one point the big ones decided to go off and do their own thing on their own and syndicated it out. And then Rotten Tomatoes comes along and you see the difference between what the critics say about something and what the people who actually go see the stuff say about something.
Right.
And you're starting to see that sort of thing too, I think, in the gaming journalism world, where people are saying, look, you keep telling me this stuff, I go play the game and I don't have the same experience. I'm not going to watch you anymore. I'm not going to listen to you anymore. This guy over here, I agree with him, his assessment completely. I'm going to watch him on the next one and see what he says about it. And that's how you build that.
Understand who they are. Like a great example is Zero Punctuation. This game is Zero Punctuation.
I've been a huge fan for a decade.
You know exactly what he enjoys. So because you have an understanding of how he perceives it, you understand how he's judging the game. So when he gives a review that this is boring or this is bad or this is great, you understand why he says it's this way because you understand this is his viewpoint and this is how he assesses the games, and he assesses all games in the same level. Even he goes, this game is bad, but I like it and I don't know why.
And it's hilarious.
Exactly. And it's
I sit and watch his reviews, whether I will ever even consider playing the game he's talking about or not, because he's so damn funny.
Right, exactly. He has great humor, and when then he has the extra punctuations where he just goes like it's a deep dive on like a subject that he wanted to talk about within the gaming. Also, it's very elaborate. It's very well written, and so you understand where his viewpoints are even more. You understand that
he's been streaming his gameplay lately too, which is fun. So
when you have a reviewer that you watch and you understand where they're coming from and you enjoy their personality and you know their objectives and how they objectively review things, then you have a much better understanding of what you're watching going in.
Right.
Or you going in looking at somebody.
He's got a huge body of work too. I mean, you've got a decade of his reviews. I used to watch it when it first started, and he was doing his very first reviews, and I was just blown away by the comedy of it and how well written the comedy was, that I continue watching him, and I was like, got a lot out of what he was saying about these games and the people who are involved. And he doesn't, him and his Spiffing Brit talk about Todd Howard all the time. It's just hilarious to listen to, and you learn about these people and how these games develop companies work. And this one was a subject, was made by this studio who did this and this and this, and they ripped off this from that. And you get that information too. But you know what you can trust because he's not somebody who started doing this a year ago.
Right. He has a body of work.
Yeah.
But he has a massive body of work, but he also is very consistent on his opinions. And if his ideas and thoughts change, he talks about it. when he does his reviews. He's like, this game was like this, but this is why it's different. And this is why I like this compared to what this was. He goes into detail about what he cares about and why, that's why he's still going after 10, 15 years of making these short 5-minute videos of him reviewing games.
Now, to be fair, they should be like 20-minute videos, but the talk's so fast, it's only 5.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And this gets as much jokes in as possible.
Sometimes I have to pause it.
Well, he's also,
you always have to always pause the end screen because there's always a great joke on the last credits page. You got to check it out. So it goes by
he
too
also
fast.
on other things of like he was already a writer, so he was willing to put what he preaches of narrative into practice. He's worked on games, so that he's willing to put what he preaches into practice. It's somebody that that he cares about this, so you follow him and understand him. That's why, you look at somebody like Angry Joe and his game reviews, you understand where he's coming from. He's very consistent. He very much, as time evolves, his opinions have evolved to match as he's grown as a person. He's reviewed things and addressed when he changes his opinions on different aspects of gaming. And it's great to watch somebody evolve, and him going from just yelling and screaming all the time to him having in-depth analysis and then also being mad.
Yeah,
because it's a massive evolution of what he was before.
I need the screaming. And
well, there's
the annual Madden, that's an annual thing that I do every year.
Like, hour and a half video of him
Madden review
discussing how it's worse and how many things they've removed this time.
I'm waiting for
back in the early 2000s.
You have to pay him to do it. Like, no, I'm not doing it again. What charity do we have to bankroll to get you to play this damn game? Play the game.
What are you saying?
So back in the early 2000s, there was a movie reviewer like that. Kind of got into that where I was going back and reading his reviews, and they were all just like perfectly what I was thinking. And his name was his webpage was Dr. Daniel's Movie Reviews, and he would put things in the OR when he was examining him in the examination room, and then he would put them in the morgue if they were bad. And it was really kind of cute. And he always started every review with, "Okay, here's the deal." And it was just something that I started picking up and saying, and now Biden is ruined. I can't do it anymore. But he would do that. He was like, "Okay, here's the deal." And then he was going for like 2, 3, 4 years. I was regularly watching his reviews, find out what he had to say, and then he just disappeared. Right, I still to this day do not know what happened. He just gone. So
pod faded
that's
hard.
Unfortunate. I don't know if he had an accident or something. I don't know. Who knows what happened. He might just gave up and still be around. Who knows?
So I always worried about like some of the podcasts like I've pod faded on. I was like, is anyone like still on this channel? If I posted something with someone,
we want to see.
Like, where the fuck have you been? Because like there are people like I've heard, like I was talking to some YouTubers, like they said like I've got a dead channel that I first started making videos on, and I posted video of there. Someone's like, "Where have you been?" I'm like, "I got this other channel. I've been doing things. Why are you still here?"
Right, but that's the thing about journalism in general is that unless it's divorcing journalism from the review aspect of it. Right. The issue with a lot of the journalism part of it is that a lot of, especially game journalism, is very much disingenuous.
Yeah. And
the ones that have deep and interesting stories to tell usually get shunned, or nobody cares about them, or nobody listens to them. Right. A good example in the esports world is a man named Richard Lewis, who is so synonymous and so hated in certain communities that he is still banned on the League of Legends Reddit subreddit. Mm-hmm. That if you even mention his name, it gets deleted, and you can't even allude to him. He literally got the word Voldemort banned because they were using it as a reference to him. But it was because he was like, this is what's happening in your game. You're the people who are making the game don't care. They're spending all this money getting this cheap buyouts from other things. And he does in-depth journalistic and understanding. He did a whole deep dive into the CS:GO scandal of the iBuyPower cheating scandal, where they purposely threw games, match fixing scandal, where they purposely match fixed so that way they can get a massive payout. He's done a lot. He's been in contact with many different sets of officials all over the world, because he's also did deep dives into the Russian mafia connections with CS:GO and how they use that as their
Money laundering.
their laundering and their base to gamble and do other things, and how one kid, literally the mafia showed up and told him that he needs to throw this game or they don't know what's going to happen to his mom.
Throw this game.
or I don't know what's going to happen to your mom. Is just saying that, I know you're 16, but I need you to lose this. And that's not even a joke.
Man.
And the fact that, watching a lot of the esports companies be bought up by, Saudi money and, and how all that's connected, and talking about how that a lot of these companies are doing things that don't make any sense. Like when the whole Ukraine-Russia thing started, they banned all Russian orgs from playing in CS:GO tournaments. So a lot of the Russian orgs had to get bought out by other organizations, and one of them won the world championship, like one of the CS:GO majors, under a pseudonym name of the Outsiders, but it's all players from this Russian organization. And then they got delivered to the location for Virtus Pro, which is the real team's name, and they have the trophy in their Virtus Pro area because they're the fucking players that won the goddamn trophy. Yeah. But everyone's like, oh, I can't believe that these people are getting these trophies. This is originally a Russian organization. This is going to negatively. It's like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, why are you doing that? Those people playing that game have nothing to do with what's going on.
Exactly. And it's nothing. One of those when you actually get people who are journalists that actually take to stories and try to hold people to account. A lot of people don't want to hear that because it's scary and it makes the things you like not as interesting.
Yeah. The investigative journalism is it's really hard to keep money into a company that is doing stuff like that. Do you feel that there's not enough stuff going on? Because I always thought that there's never enough going on that's not investigated, like some scandal going on, of course, that someone's got a deep dive in. But is there enough going on in the gaming space for all these reviews? Because that's we've talked about this before, is like the problem with esports and most sport organizations is that they're trying to be the NFL, NBA, and FIFA too fast and can't think about that. Like the WNBA is complaining because they can't take like flights everywhere, and I'm like, I don't see the NBA doing that. I'm like, the NBA rode like coach buses in private cars for years, bro. Fill your stands first.
But the esports is the worst case of that, is where they think that I think only in the history of esports, I think only 2 teams have ever been profitable, period, over the 10-15 years. And it's like TSM and T1, and that's mostly because T1 is backed by a giant Korean organization that is spending money hand over fist, and they're constantly winning things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's just not enough for it. Like, to me, like, I think the esports scene, suffers from people always trying to make too much money off it without trying to just grow the genre of it.
The other issue is that a lot of it is a lot of the esports in particular. A lot of the tournaments are monopolized by certain groups. So, like League of Legends, you can't do a League of Legends tournament unless Riot Games approves of it. Right. They have to be the ones to run it. You can't just go, well, we're going to do this, these all amateur players that we want to do this tournament over here. And Riot Games says, no. You can't do a league or anything. That's ours. We own this. You have to come through us. But just in gaming in general, this general journalism for gaming, the issue is that what you have to report on is, early looks and what could possibly be this next game. But where there's so many games in the market, that anticipation isn't the same thing anymore. compared to the 90s and the early 2000s,
Mhm.
where gaming is still brand new and fresh,
Mhm.
and all these, you have all these magazines that are like, we have an exclusive look at Final Fantasy 8. Yeah, we know that's coming out. Isn't that insane that this game is coming out? Here's this exclusive look on what could possibly be this game going forward. Now it's just like, cool, they did a press release, and you can just go to their website.
Yeah,
You
pretty
can
much.
go to the Square Enix website for the Final Fantasy VII remake press release that they released, and you can just read it there. You don't need this journalist to write up a op about it, but when I can just with 4 mouse clicks find the exact article they're trying to make an op about,
Yeah. So
and then it becomes
It's a
all
shame.
about personal pieces.
It's a shame we don't know a game journalist we could invite on.
no, he's busy. We don't talk to him. Okay? And
But
he
it's
messed up. He should have moved to Indy. Okay. Right.
He couldn't. He wasn't on a 4-hour stream, so he can't be on this one, right?
He could have been my Brett. Okay. All right?
But a lot of it comes down to opinion pieces at that point, when all the new information is easily accessible, and as soon as one person hears about it, it's spread all over the internet, and then the original source is gone because this person leaked it to this one guy, they put it out there, and then somebody grabbed it and spread it out there, and the original poster gets no click through because
Correct.
it's on Twitter and 100 people are talking about it, or 1,000 people are talking about it on Twitter. Then what's the point?
Yeah.
The only things that will do click through is the investigative journalism stuff, is the this is what's happening behind the scenes, why this company is having these issues, this is why this thing happened, etc., etc. The crux of game journalism being, the eyes and ears of the people who don't have the eyes and ears. Like E3 was this massive thing because it was the industry just showing what's going to be in the future, what's ahead of us, and it was always this massive event because there was only exclusive people allowed in, and only a couple hundred general admission people are allowed in to experience it, and it's this massive experience, and then it became open to the public, and then you start realizing, well, you don't need to do press conferences because you could just go on the internet, and then you can do what Nintendo does and just go, oh, here's our quarterly Nintendo Direct of all the games that are coming out. Here, get hype.
Right. Yeah. Like
CES.
Yeah. CES. Yeah. Yeah. What's the point?
Just Guild Wars 2 is just coming out with a new roadmap that they're going to put out there, and it's instead of people guessing what it's going to be, they're telling everybody.
Yeah, you can just go on there and figure it out. Like, that's the thing is, that's the power of the internet at this point, is that if one person knows, everybody knows. Imagine how the whole thing of fighting Akuma in Street Fighter, right? How you had to get like a bunch of perfect games in a row, and you have to beat it within like a certain amount of time, and then just out of nowhere he shows up, kills Bison, and you got to fight this unnamed character, and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Now the internet exists. It's like, all right, how do I fight Akuma? Oh, you gotta do this. Cool. I can just watch 4 clips of this real quick. And that whole word of mouth thing that what it was before is not as predominant, because you don't need that word of mouth when I can watch 8 videos of a playthrough of a game and get their commentary as they're playing through it, and get their perspective as they're playing through it, and see the person that hate this game, the person that loves this game, and people are like, well, this is all right, but this could have been better because this and this.
Yeah. So it's like Mortal Kombat when it came out, when the fatalities was secret. That was a secret thing that no one was supposed to find this code out, and sure enough, one person found it out when they dropped the first cabinet.
Right. They're like, oh my god, what is this?
Yeah. Or Killer Instinct, they ended up putting all those on the machines.
Yeah,
because they just said, "Here you go. Here you are." So.
Yeah, like or that's when you had all the stuff like in Mortal Kombat 2, where randomly Scorpion, a reptile would just show up and like say something and disappear, and you're like, "What the fuck was that? How do I fight that guy?"
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, you got to learn how to do this. Just
Yeah.
just trying and trying and trying, and like how does
now it's very much, if I want to know what happens in a narrative game, I could just watch a playthrough of it. If I want to watch a scary game and not actually have to play it myself, I can watch somebody else play it, and then I can watch them be scared, because even though I might jump, but I don't have to physically experience it anymore. Like, I literally watched a friend lose his mind because he was playing the Resident Evil 7,
Mhm.
the demo, and it was in our house, and we made him put headphones on and turn all the lights off, and he was just watching on the TV with the headphones on.
Mhm.
And you could see he was like fucking terrified because you couldn't hear anything around him because you only hear things in the headphones, kind of like what happens with VR now.
Yeah.
But it's that experience of watching somebody experience something for the first time in that particular manner is so much more entertaining, and compared to, you don't need the journalist to go, trust me, bro, this game is awesome, I played it, I put all this time and effort into it, compared to like, cool, I just watched this 18-hour playthrough of the entire narrative and I don't care anymore.
That's true. Like Twitch has became like a very and YouTube gaming has been a very good like thing for me for judging whether or not like I want to buy a game. I will watch it. I like to watch it first. I think the only time I ever don't watch a game on Twitch or watch someone play it before is when rando people just buy me a game. You know who you are.
like a raft building game or something.
Yeah,
like
like
that.
I was on a raft or something. Yeah, stuff like that. And I end up like just having a
What
game.
would you call it? What would you call a game like that?
I don't know.
Probably
Boat,
raft,
boat, maybe.
Boat, yeah.
boat,
Boat.
ship. Yeah.
Well, the Reach Gaming, Preach Gaming, he just like 2 weeks ago decided to, because he does a lot of MMO stuff. So he does Fantasy 4 and WoW, and he decided he got his community finally talked him into doing Guild Wars 2. So he's done like he did the whole main story playthrough, and now he's going through the different expansions and living world content. And it's like, you can watch the VODs on YouTube now. They're like 6 hours long each. And he took nine episodes, 6 hours each, to play all the way through the main story. And you can go watch it. You can watch his opinion, his reaction. Like, oh, this is like this, and wow, okay, this is like this, and he's comparing based off what he knows, how the game is playing. He tells what he likes about it. He tells what he doesn't like about it. So
Right,
you can just do that. You don't have to go to a game journalist. You watch somebody do it. You
Exactly.
can fast forward if you want.
And that's why I feel like the concept of game journalism is kind of becoming irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because if I want to watch a review, I'll find somebody that can review it. If I want to watch, if I want to know what's going to be coming in the future, I could just.
Gamers have a community, so when something is a story or something people want to talk about something, they'll talk about it. You've got Discord, you got Reddit, you've got all these different places just to talk about it. You've got people making content about it, to where you've got to find a niche. Even as a streamer, you've got to find a way to differentiate yourself from the other people,
right?
Who are doing this and talking about it. So you have to actually, you find people are starting to say, okay, now you've got to be entertaining too. You've got to be good at it. You can't just there's times I go to look and see how somebody did something in a game I'm playing, and I'll look at a video and they'll say, this is how I did it. Right. You go on the video, it's either somebody not talking.
Mm-hmm.
They're just showing the video, which is boring, or it's somebody talking and their audio is horrible. It doesn't sound like they've talked publicly ever. Right. I mean, I have problems with, stuttering sometimes and kind of stopping on thinking and stuff like that. But this is more like, just somebody who doesn't talk much doing the video. And I'll find somebody else who's done this so I can get something better out of it. So that's how that starts. Like I said, cream of the crop starts to rise in that area too, to where you start watching people who are not only informed and not only good at the game, but also are entertaining in some way.
Right. And the other big thing is that gaming is no longer niche. That it
That's true,
used to be
too.
this massive niche thing that if you played games when you played video games when you were a kid and you had a Super Nintendo, you were a nerd and nobody liked you. You were the kid that got picked on. If you had a Commodore 64, which is closer to when Rhinehold was young,
I had
you
a
would
Commodore
get
64 when I graduated high school. Before that, an Intellivision.
Let's
there
go
it
to
is.
say the Intellivision.
Closer to
yeah.
when he was young. Closer to when he
Rhino,
was
you had an Intellivision?
Oh yeah,
Me too.
it was the best. It was the best. It was that or Atari, and it was like that was the better game console in my opinion.
Mhm.
You had the game pads, you had the numbers on it, you had the little disc
Yes.
thing, and you could
Yeah.
do a
Mhm.
lot more with it.
Man, I used to game on that. Had the little slides in it to help, like the little, like, so you know what the number pads did and stuff like that.
Yep.
That will help her see.
My game on that was Astro Smash.
Ooh,
I was an Astro Smash. I could have been. I find out that they actually had contests where you could go and play Astro Smash for
Nice.
become the best in the world or whatever.
Mhm.
And I should have done it because I was good at it, and I'd play that thing for hours. I remember there was one time, and my mom keeps reminding me of this. I was playing all night long. I was at this high level, and I paused the game to go to bed.
Mhm.
I was going to pick it back up again in the morning. By the time I got up, my little sister, who was maybe at the time, 1.5, she was crawling around, put her hand on it and reset the game.
Oh.
Oof.
And I was 15 at the time, and I was like, ah. So,
Yep.
but then when I watch Big Bang Theory and I see Sheldon wearing an Astro Smash T-shirt, I immediately just go, okay, mad props, because somebody knew what they were doing when they gave him that shirt to wear. They knew who they were reaching out.
I used to play Burger Time. Burger Time was my game.
Oh, Burger Time. My mom loves Burger Time. I had to install it on the computer for her to play it.
That's the arcade in Castleton at Boss Battle. You can play arcade Burger Time. So much better.
Seriously, I spent, you know how much money I spent at, there's an arcade in Martinsville called the Enterprise, and I would go there every chance I had with, I was doing tea-tossling corn when I was like 15, and they would drop us off at the Enterprise to get picked up. And I would just tell my parents to come an hour or two later, and I would go in there and play. All the money I'd made doing the corn, I was in there playing video.
Yeah.
My brother was putting it in the bank. I was playing video games. I spent so much time there.
But
it's unbelievable.
That's my point, is that was niche. Having an arcade was niche. Going to the arcade was niche.
Yeah. And
now it's everywhere.
Yeah. And made fun of.
Yeah. Our little town has 3 arcade bars.
If we really wanted to look for it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 3 arcade bars, 2 pure arcades without the bars. See,
but that's my point.
I miss the sound of the arcade, man. When it was a true arcade and not an arcade with 8 games that you would want to play, than a bunch of kids games, right? When it used to be just an arcade that had a couple pool tables, pinball machines, and asteroids. Was it a Mike Tyson Punch Out? Mike Tyson Punch Out.
Boss Battle's close enough for that. They don't have pool tables, but they do have pinball machines and all that other fun stuff there. But it's no longer the niche thing as it was.
Right.
Is that gaming is now everywhere, even if the kids are just playing Fortnite or Apex or, games that are not for me, or I don't play, or I don't really care for, they're still in the mainstream. You could find children everywhere flossing and default dancing because that's just internet.
Yeah, even
Minecraft is so universally known that it's a video game that everybody knows, and they're like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's whatever. Yeah, kids it's basically digital Legos, so I don't have to step on them, so that works for me.
It's not just that though. My parents, who were never they were tolerated that I play games, but they were never into them. They're playing Candy Crush. They're playing. I got Burger Time. My mom does a lot of those find the things on the screen games, things like that. She's got a handful of games that she's hooked up with my uncle, and they have a lot of Big Fish games. They play a bunch of those, and they've got into it. So it's just once we become to a point where we can have leisure time, games are a fun way to use that leisure time.
Gaming has just become a universally accepted thing. And because it's gaming journalism isn't a thing, it's just journalism. It's because it's part of the mainstream now. So if something big happens like Activision Blizzard or the antitrust stuff with Microsoft trying to buy Activision Blizzard, that's just
You read about it in the
news.
Post and the Times. You don't have
Yeah,
to
it's
go
just
to a
news now.
special
It's
place.
not
Yeah.
it's not specialty hidden stuff. And the more hidden stuff is the esports stuff because it's not as popular.
Right.
It's not as big as everything else.
So you're saying that there is not enough news for it just to be its own little small channel, but there's enough that it really just needs to be just join the rest of the news cycle.
There's not enough news to chew up that, but there's enough occasional big stories that'll get picked up by the big players, right? So the big Activision thing, like, so that'll get picked up, but
this game getting delayed.
This independent game that came out and it's got this little quirky thing with it, you're not going to hear about that anywhere, because if you hear about it, you're going to hear about it from other people on the Discord or in a Reddit somewhere.
Right.
Or see somebody talk about it on YouTube.
Yeah, there's enough
or see it on Twitch.
Stuff.
Yeah. You don't need to read
gaming journalism has kind of been
IGN.
Pushed into almost an obsolete territory of, if something's big enough, it's just news. If something massive happens, like Sony decides that they're going to buy Nintendo, that's going to be everywhere, or like you find out like Nintendo and has decided that they're going to stop producing game consoles or whatever. It's big enough where everybody will, the normal news will report on it.
And it's much harder for the normal news to be coerced into fake positive reviews by the game manufacturers.
Right. And then when you
they'll report that. It's like, so this person's trying to buy us.
Yeah. And so the actual things you want from journalists are, deep dives into games of history, the history of how this game is made, or hands-on or early footage. But the companies are either going to put it out themselves, because they want to maximize the eyes onto it, or there's YouTubers that they get early access to.
There was a couple great YouTube channels that are doing the history of X game, whatever game it is, and it's like there was one on the history of Galaga, which is one of my top 100 times. I still play it all the time. Whenever I see it somewhere, I'll stop and play it. And I'm good at that one. They did a whole thing. It's like an hour and a half long documentary on how it got started, how it came through its different phases, the different versions that came out, and why. And it's very informative and intriguing. And they did one for Zaxxon the other day. I saw it, and that one was another good one. I love that game too. So there are people doing that now. That's not tied to an IGN or something like that.
It's a lot more independent. You'll and the super niche stuff. There's a group of people that are interested in it. Summoning Salt is a YouTuber that does the history of world record speedruns. That's what he does. He goes through the history of this particular speedrun for this particular game and breaks it down of, this is how it started, here's the glitches they use, here's the paths they use, these are the guys that did it, this is how they do it. It's like, oh, this is the world record run for Super Punch Out, and how do you get it, and this is how you make sure it happens, and these fights are all RNG, and you just need really good RNG for this thing to happen, or you have to have like 0.5 like reflex, and when this character does this specific thing, that still exists. The things that people want to find, it's there.
Yeah, and then there's also a whole bunch of, here are the top 5 people get caught cheating at speedruns.
Yeah,
those are fun to watch too, because it's like you can see where they cut the screen and spliced in this other run, or somebody. There was one guy who had spliced in somebody else's run, but so badly that he had bars across part of the screen what normally would have something there, and it was so obvious because he was trying to get the cut thing, the numbers on top of Mario Brothers to match up or to what he was doing, and it was just hilarious watching the guy go, here's all of the ways he screwed this up so badly.
Yeah, so the issue is that because of the internet, the need of game journalists are less attached to an organization and more attached to a personality.
And really, the ones that have been getting let go are more likely to be going off and doing their stuff independently from that point forward, right? They're going to start putting this stuff up on their own channel, doing YouTube videos, etc. And if they were good at it, what they were doing, they're going to have enough of a following to get over the hump and get some views that way.
Right. Or that's if they were actually into gaming. If they weren't into gaming, they're leaving the gaming industry altogether.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they're just going into regular
journalism that
media journalism,
which they clearly wanted to do. They just got gaming
sucked
journalism.
in,
bastards.
But this is kind of how gaming is now. That's why, like, at this point, the niche thing that is slowly building into the mainstream is anime and manga, because it was comic books, and then it became TV shows, and then it became video games, and now the next thing is anime and manga. It's cartoons for adults, or cartoons for that have more than just haha slapstick funny to it, and it's slowly people are building into that becoming popular in the Western culture anyway. It was always popular in Eastern culture, but just in Western culture, that's the niche thing right now. Even though it's accepted, it's just not as widespread as the video games. Right, like Pokemon is accepted because it was a video game, but it technically has the anime part of it. But everybody knows Pikachu, and that's about it.
Yeah, and if we're talking about art styles too, I was just thinking about how the top 3 MMOs, and because we were talking about Guild Wars 2 the other day, and if you look at like Final Fantasy, it's very well done art, cartoon style, blah blah blah. You look at Guild Wars 2, it's very beautifully done, specific type of art style that makes a lot of kind of like a cross between American and Eastern. And then you go look at WoW, and it's like, this is horrible. Right? So this is like the different types of anime I talk about. Is like there's some good anime, and there's some really schlocky anime, and that's what WoW is doing on their animation. You can't you can't personalize or customize your character as well as you can in those other 2 games with WoW. It's just really bad.
There's some decades of different stuff.
And if you want to see the extreme of that, you want to see the extreme of that, Black Desert, which is like a 100% customizable characters because it's a Korean game and it's a Korean MMO, and it's like cool. You start the game and you spend an hour and a half perfectly fine-tuning how your character looks, including pupil size and absurd shit.
I was watching Preach Gaming create his character for Guild Wars 2, and it was like he spent the first 25 minutes trying to get the right, and he finally was just like, okay, that's good enough. But he was watching where you can take the pupil size smaller and bigger and change the nose, and he was having a ball. And then he was talking about how they got a lot of colors here, and it's really, the dye system is really good. And I'm sitting there going, you have no idea. There's so many dyes in that game, so many different colors. Now, a lot of them are kind of caught behind the gem store, but what Guild Wars 2 did so well is that their gem store isn't anything to do with power. It's all customizable and how you look and things like that. And there's just some functionality stuff, like quality of life stuff. Like if you want a couple more character slots or some bag slots or some bank slots, that sort of thing you can buy, but nothing that makes your character better than anybody else's character. Right. But the best thing they did was that you can buy the gems that you use with real money or with in-game gold. So you can use in-game gold to buy the gems. You can use the gems to buy the expansions. You never have to give them $1 if you're playing the game and making it. It's not that hard. There's a guy, Mighty Teapot, just did a thing where he started a brand new account, and went from zero money with no levels or anything to having enough money to purchase all of the expansions in 7 days.
Nice.
So,
But it's just also
I'm lazy. I just use cash.
yeah.
It's
So,
different
and that's what it's there
philosophy
for.
at
It's
the time.
and what's
I
really
think
good
at
is that you can use the cash to buy gold, right? You can use the gems to buy gold, and you can go to the store, to the marketplace, buy the stuff that people have put on the marketplace who are farming and trying to get the gold to buy the gems in order to buy, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you're helping each other out that way.
Yeah. Can I still level up by crafting?
You can level your character. No, you don't level your character up by crafting.
Ooh.
You level your crafting up by crafting.
Boo. Boo. We used to do that back in the day.
Nobody levels in this game anymore.
I know,
Guild
that's
Wars
true.
2
That's true. Leveling
is a
doesn't matter in that game.
horizontal progression, not
that's
a
true.
vertical progression.
That's true.
You
They
can
took
get
that out.
bumped to level 80 you can actually buy just a bump to level 80. They give them to you if you've been around a while. If you bought an expansion, they give you
I've
bump
got
a character to
those,
level 80 keys, right? And WoW kind of does some of that stuff too, but it's like
because the
pay for it
zones because the zones like level you down. Like if you're in a level 40 zone, it doesn't matter if you're level 80. Yeah, you get leveled down.
Yeah, well, you're leveled down, but you're not leveled down. You're still a god in that area. If you're level 80 and you're going to level 20 zone, you can just flick things off. You're not gonna. It's not as bad as like with WoW when you go do it and you just basically kind of breathe on people and they fall down, but you still have to work at it a little bit. But you're not in any real danger usually.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to tell them. This is like when you said like you wanted to go 100% of level 17 zone, is like, you know what, I wouldn't mind taking my level 80s over to level 17 zone, help you one.
Not how it works.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Rhinehold, I know how, I beta tested the game, Rhinehold. I know how this game works.
No, I was telling Vincent that's not how it works. I did teach you that.
Okay, but I'm saying like
I wasn't disagreeing with you.
It was going.
MMOs is just not my thing personally.
Yeah,
I was
just telling you, it brings you down, so we're on the same level and you just have some fun, and you're just hanging out with your friends. Yeah, it's a ball.
And what's funny because you were talking about lore earlier, and I found somebody who tried to do a quick synopsis of lore of Guild Wars 1, and it was kind of cute. It was kind of cute because they did it, in a pretty short period window. But one of the lines they used was hilarious. I just wanted to read it to you real quick. Where is it at here? It's like Vizier Killborn promised that everything would be completely okay if the players just go to the Ring of Fire Islands, and nope, he's a lich and was lying to you, and you just let the Titans loose in the world. Yep. It was just funny. It's just like, everything's going to be great. No, you got screwed.
See here, Harry, you're misinterpreting my understanding of where, like, for lore, it's just I have to be invested before the lore matters. If there's lore without I don't care, then it doesn't matter.
That's why
no matter how awesome is.
That's why joke for Rhinehold, we got to get you back in Guild Wars 1, so you have to be invested into the lore.
Yeah, you've got to watch. I'm having a blank now. I hate it. Gwen. You got to know who Gwen is. Gwen's Broken Flute. I don't think they ever actually paid that off, but that was like you knew that was supposed to be a big thing at some point at the beginning of that game, and then all of a sudden it just
like for me, it's more of like I have to be invested for the lore to matter. Like if I really cared about lore, you wouldn't see me for 3 months because I'll just watch all the Fate series. And when one person goes, I'm gonna try to explain the Fate series as quickly as I can, and it's a 40-minute video, there's some bullshit.
I think
for the understanding, Rhinehold, Fate the Fate series is basically they take classic, both fictional and real historical characters and then make them into powerful anime characters. King Arthur is known as Saber and is a woman.
It's better this way
because anime, and the whole thing is that they summon powerful people throughout history to make them, and they become these anime characters. But there's so much lore to that series that there's like 4 different timelines, and one of the timelines is a slice of life timeline where nothing bad happens. So it makes no sense why any of these characters are here, because there's no reason to summon fucking Saber to this timeline if nothing bad happened. It's madness. So I have to care about the lore like that. I can't get like, that's why I haven't touched Gundam, because I feel like once I start, that's just descended to madness.
You gotta. Oh man. Oof.
It's okay, Harry. I
got
got my G Gundam over. I got my G Witch over here. I'll watch that eventually.
All right. Okay.
I'll watch G Witch and then we'll talk about it later.
All right. I got some lore for you.
Yeah, no, there's much lore in that. There's too much. There's like 14 different timelines in Gundam.
So while I've got everyone here live, so next Tuesday I plan on doing. I really want to do and stream and do the because the State of the Union. So I'd like to look at it and live react to it. It's to me, it's a blast. It's a ball. So I'm thinking about not doing this show on that Monday, so we give ourselves some breaks. What do you guys say to that?
Consistency, Harry.
Yeah, but like we're doing something on Tuesday.
What are you doing Tuesday?
The State of the Union, Rhinehold.
Oh, State of the Union is Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Yeah,
okay.
7th, right? Right.
If you say so.
You guys enjoy that.
This is it's
because I don't care.
yeah.
You don't care how State of the Union is, huh?
I am completely apathetic to most things, Rhinehold. You should know that by now. I have to care about it for me to be invested.
For somebody to be that apathetic, to have that many opinions. So.
Mm-hmm. I am informed. I just don't care. There's a difference.
February 7th, 9:00. State of the Union. Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah. I did talk to what's his name? Electric Karma. And I was trying to see if we wanted to go to the stream house. I was like, what time does that thing start? Like, nah, let's do it at our house.
Yeah, why aren't you there tonight? Well, you're supposed to do it from the stream.
I mean, I could. Harry has to drive back home though.
No. Hey, but I did get the IPsec link between my house and the stream house setup though.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you can remote control stuff over there during the live show. If you weren't there, you could just kind of
turn things on, turn things off, mess with this. Well, because I got the servers on in the basement.
Mm-hmm. So you just need to get security cams up and around the place so you can have live feeds back to your house.
So the DVR stays in here in this rack, but the cameras are over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's the plan.
Just don't get Ring, because then you have to run everything to their servers.
Oof. Gross. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you have to pay them.
It's even worse.
$10 a year.
That's terrible. It's terrible. Do they use my images for their AI chatbot too? Oh.
Well, I'm sure they use it for something.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So
they probably have the shots of me walking out on my porch without a shirt on, and they're like going, "Oh yeah, this is what we're looking for right here."
Yeah, AI. Yeah, hey, someone's gonna AI generate a want to see a rhinoceros, and they're just gonna be you AI generated and see watch. Anyway, so it
wouldn't have to do much. It's pretty rhino looking already. Yeah, I keep looking in the mirror thinking, oh, I look so bad, blah, blah, blah. And then I catch myself on the Ring camera and I'll get how huge I am. And I'm like, oh. Yeah. You just don't realize it until, you see it, and it just hits me hard every time.
Yeah. Yes, consistency is a thing. I'm fine with doing maybe a small episode next Monday, but the simple fact that I've got to do this again and do something for the city, that's what it gets to be, because I've got to do a show Saturday, then skip a day, then come in, do another show, and do another show. That's what's getting to.
That is up to you, sir. I am down.
I like the idea of skipping a Monday.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
I'm not the one who said you want to be consistent all year.
Your show.
So I would like to skip next Monday and to come in on Tuesday to the State of the Union. So All right. So you guys heard it here first. If you're live, like we will not be live next Monday. We'll be that one next one for technically it would be Galentine's Day, but it's just us here and the guy. So yeah, the day before Valentine's Day is called Galentine's Day. If you're a Parks and Rec fan, for your Parks and Rec fans. All right, you guys didn't watch Parks and Rec. All right, you guys clearly
Don't be
Chris.
suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I was just like, clearly, Audrey Plaza, Chris Pratt fans in this bad boy. But anyways,
oh, you mean Mario or Garfield? Is that what that he's both of those things. That's supposed to come out this year.
Hopefully he's saving the voice for Garfield.
I just like the fact that Samuel L. Jackson's supposed to be like his dad. The Garfield dad in that movie.
It should work. It'll work. They'll make it work. It'll work. It'll work.
Can't have a bad movie with Samuel L. Jackson in it. Sorry.
Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Then you get some movies that are so bad they're good. Have you seen what is it for? Anyways, no, we're not doing this right.
I think the movie you're thinking about is Harriet's Kite.
Anyways, thank you for listening. Get this far in the episode. If you listen this far, you're a true fan. And you don't listen to anything else in the world, but decided to listen to this and that. I thank you. This show is a live Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live show. Now, granted, we won't be live next Monday, but you usually are on Mondays. Next, we'll be taking the day off or coming back the next day for the State of the Union address, which should be fun. It'll be a lot of blast. It's a huge blast. So. And which we also need to pick a day in February for a big show. Anyways, we'll do that later. Anyways, thank you, everybody. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.